Lead, inspire, motivate, and empower. Welcome to Lead with DX, your guide to digital transformation in a complex world. Here are your hosts, Lars and Wasantha Wirakuni, the founders of Tech One Global and Enadoc.
All right. Hello, Wasantha.
Hi, Lars. How are you today?
I'm very good. You know why?
Tell me.
I was just enjoying, some cashew nuts Sri Lankan style, with the chilies
Fried
and
chilies,
with and with the curry leaf. It was really nice. Of course,
Yeah.
I look forward to having the real thing as soon as possible. We get out of this situation. I think we're almost out of the situation. So it's a bit cloudy here today, actually. It's a bit cloudy here today, so it reminds me of an old saying of my son, I don't care about the cloud. One day we were driving somewhere and I said, look at those beautiful clouds outside there. And he said, I don't care about the cloud. And then the rest of us are sitting and looking down at our T-shirt and says, we love cloud. So what's your comment on that?
I would also say I don't like cloud. Not every day, someday. But why I don't like cloud is not the cloud what you're talking about. I don't like the clouds because with the clouds our renewable energy operation is is not producing as many green energy points as much. But I don't think we are talking about that cloud, right?
Yeah, probably not.
Okay. So let's talk about the other cloud.
Yeah. So, when we first started to develop the previous version of Enadoc, it was on-premise, right? And then, then when we started to redevelop Enadoc for the new world and renamed it Enadoc, we decided to go on cloud, and not go on cloud only like hosted on cloud, but go on cloud like in using the cloud services and the full bandwidth of the services you get in the cloud. And for the reason that really what happened in the last 10 years is that services had become available to everyone. And that's what I love about that cloud, is that that in the past, to implement a solution like Enadoc or any kind of IT solution, you have to build up your IT infrastructure. Actually, the first thing you have to do to use a software is to buy a hardware. And now the first thing you have to do when you want to use a software is just to start using it and pay for that. And you don't have to think much about the back end. If the software developer and architects have put it together in a right way, then it is not an issue for you at all. You can use your solution, in a browser from anywhere at any time. And if you want to add another 20 people or another 100 people or another 1,000 people, it's scalable. And if you want to remove 1,000 people because they don't need that solution anymore, it's also without any much implication except that specific solution. So we don't really have to think much about hardware anymore. If you're talking about software as a services product.
But I think cloud is today the cloud is even much more broader, right? You say PaaS, SaaS, IaaS, then DaaS, there are different versions of the cloud offering, right? And are we going to talk a little bit more about, and what is your favorite, whether you like as a platform as a service or software as a service or infrastructure as a service, why all these different ones, Lars?
Yeah. So I think first of all, you might want to explain a little bit what each of them do. But if you before that want to get my bet, as a company, as a CEO of a company, I love SaaS solutions, because for me, other type of cloud solutions are not really that much different than I mean, okay, they are different, of course, but they are just introducing another set of challenges and problems. Whereof if you look for a software as a service that is hosted on a cloud infrastructure, you don't actually need to think about anymore the cloud. You just need to use your application. But if you talk about platform as a service or infrastructure as a service, there's still a lot of architecture and a lot of know-how and a lot of skills you need to have in your organization to be able to utilize, and a lot of, I think, hidden cost. You might commit to things that you cannot use, and then you still pay for that. So maybe if you could explain a little bit to somebody like me, what is the difference in those, and maybe we can take it from there.
So Lars, I also remembered something. I think before I go into that one, remember those days when we were a very small company when we started. Our Exchange server was in the office, right? Some weekends I had to go there just because that is not working, and sometimes it is not. There was so much of challenges that we had in terms of when we manage our own hardware, right? Sometimes it failed, but the beauty was that we adapted cloud very, very early stage, right? So anyway, coming back, I think we always adapted SaaS first. SaaS is basically you subscribing to your service, and you are not going to worry about where it is being hosted, how it is being hosted. You are just going to say, okay, you pay a fee, for the usage, and you're paying only for your usage. Whereas platform as a service would be a little bit more broader, and I think it is not for every supplier and also for not every user, because the platform the platform as a service allows other service providers, like for an example, our own Enodoc is hosted on a platform from Microsoft. So now Microsoft has provided us, and we providing SaaS using the PaaS solution of them. And whereas the infrastructure service is purely you may be using a storage or virtual machines or something as a service from a service provider. So these different services have different values, but I think the most popular one or the most you can say adaptable one is the SaaS, where even a smaller organization, very small to medium or large organizations can start availing this service without having to have a lot of technical knowledge or people to manage that, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. As a business owner, for me, you could even forget it's cloud, right? Because you don't even know what's behind the browser. You open your browser, and then you use your application, and you don't have to think about what is that platform and what is the redundancy. And the company that you sign up with have to use some services, of course. So they use a platform, or maybe some of them use infrastructure. I don't know, but depends on the application you're using. But for me, the real beauty or the real technology breakthrough is that. I think we had for many years hosted applications, meaning that we move a server from our office to somebody else's premise, right? Companies like Rackspace, for example, which we used during the time, they rent out rack space. So it means the server is still there, but you're not the one who has to maintain it and support it. You're not the one who have to update it. You're not the one who have to back it up. And somebody else is doing that for you. So basically, you're moving your hardware at an arm's length. So somebody else is managing that. It's like outsourcing, your canteen, or outsourcing cafeteria, or your security to a certain extent, right? But when companies then go for the cloud solutions here, I think what I've seen is that it's something they have really to learn how to use. It's not just as simple as it was before. You buy a server, a hardware box, and that's it. I mean, you are running into your own problems with capacity and stuff, but at least that is your cost. I think the biggest problem we are seeing today is that we are still in the very early days of of this cloud technology, and a lot of companies are scared about the cost that they might have. If they do something wrong, if they don't use the right service. It's like basically you have a house and you forgot to switch off the air condition or the water tap or something like this. And let's say, for example, you go on vacation and you leave your air conditions on in the house and you come back and you're worrying, how come my electricity bill was so high? Because I was not in the house. So the same thing happens with those services. They are sitting there and ticking in the background if you don't manage them well. So that whole paradigm is a new way of managing your IT infrastructure that companies now have to learn. So just taking the switch from one to the other is not going to solve the problem. You have to really use it with care and understanding. But once you do that, you have unlimited resources. You can just think about a utility company, for example, like electricity company or a bank or another type of company that do monthly or quarterly billing, and how much power you need to do that. And the rest of the time, you don't need it. So the cloud can really help you to give you that kind of elasticity where you can say, okay, I expand today and tomorrow I contract. But you have to manage that. Somebody has to be in charge of that. And that, I think, is a bigger challenge we're seeing now. A lot of organizations, when they first buy into the concept of cloud, they don't buy into the concept of we need to have all of our people, trained, or we need to use a service provider who is having all the right certifications and the right people to do that, right? So that's how I see it.
Last, so I think also, yeah, you're right, 100%, and I also see the cloud gave us two more very different opportunities that, otherwise would have not been practically possible. One is backup. So geo-redundant services, which especially if you have to have a data center on your own, having a copy of whatever you are doing, mission critical information, practically is not easier to do for many organizations. I don't think, in our company, we ever had a chance to, with our physical infrastructure, we have never been able to replicate it well. But with cloud, this is a matter of just clicking a button, right? Say, oh, yeah, enable my geo-redundant services. And at a fraction of a cost of setting up a new data center, you have this, your data is secure, especially in places where we have natural disasters are very common. I think the cloud gives a huge peace of mind in one way, one way to for people to go home and sleep, right?
Yes.
For managing it. The second thing is, Lars, the world has evolved into a different place. The war is happening in cyber war is becoming really real. It is there, and a lot of people are being operations are being hampered. You might be hearing these things these days. They are maybe for different reasons, but you know that your security is something that everybody has to be aware of, and how to manage that is not a simple task, because there are millions of people, millions of systems which are trying to hack you, and as an individual it will be very difficult for you to, or as an organization, to mitigate that. I think the cloud solutions are providing excellent way, because they are having this centralized cloud security, helping organizations to address that one in a very effective way. I think these are the two things that I really see a big value for anyone, either small or big, will be able to derive this value from cloud.
Yes, I think security aspect is more important now than ever, and I don't know of any company that has its own IT security team, unless you talk about big telcos, for example, big banks, and even they will have a limited resources, because they might have a team of 2-3 people, 5 people, 10 people, something like this. But the cloud providers are having hundreds of people, and they have hundreds of people 24/7. There's always a full monitoring going on. And the other thing is that cyber attacks happen, not directly targeted. Most of the time, you're not directly targeted. You are targeted among a group of other companies or other users using technology to address many people at the same time. And because the cloud providers has a global coverage, they can pick up those kind of things. When solutions, when security is breached, they can stop it because they can see a pattern of what's happening. So those are the alerts. If you're just managing your own, you will just wait for the attack to come. It's you will not know it's there until it's there. But if you look at how Microsoft, for example, is managing the security, they will see that attack is happening now in this place, in this place, in this place, so they can stop it from spreading. They might have a vulnerability one place, another place, but the third place it's already gone. Where if you're the one managing your own gate, you are at a much higher risk. Also, the investment that you have to do in security is non-stop. But those are probably the things that organizations know, and they probably think about it more and more, that this is a solution to a security problem. There's a third thing that you did not mention, which is the services of the cloud, which are very high-end and expensive services. If you were to use them for yourself only, if you were to deploy, artificial intelligence, for example, in your own setup, it's almost impossible. It is a service running on the cloud, as almost by definition. And even the smallest companies can benefit from using artificial intelligence or other services that are running at a small scale. You can do your small developments, you can do your small testing, and then you can roll out in bigger scale. So if you have smaller research and development organizations in engineering, for example, or in medical fields, they can really come in and compete with the big guys because they will have the same resources available. So I think that's a very important part of as well when we talk about the cloud is leveling the playing field, democratizing the technology is a part of that. So maybe not so much used and not so much understood by many organizations, schools, universities, and things, is that they really have a sandbox environment where they can work on their projects and they can have resources available they could never dream of.
But last people are scared of going to cloud. Is this the threat is real? Some people don't like to go to cloud. Is there any challenges also in the cloud that people should be aware of when you're before going into cloud? Or what should at what part of my workload should be taken to cloud? If I ask you,
I don't know about any workload that you would not take to cloud. Of course, the main the main link that might be the weakest link is our connectivity. Okay, if you don't have connectivity, that means internet access. You have access to nothing.
Absolutely.
So when you said earlier you had to go to the office in those days in the late 90s to fix something at the office, you went to the office to fix something, but if that solution has no access to the internet anyway, can you fix it tomorrow or day after? The reason why we went to the office because we could not access the systems from the internet, right?
Absolutely.
But those systems could still access the internet to download emails and stuff. But in today's environment, we are becoming very vulnerable in terms of our access. If I just, for example, last Sunday, I drove from my house to a place here, a beach place, and put on your Google Maps and you start to drive, and suddenly you have no connectivity, and you have no idea whether to go left or right because the map is not updating. In the old days, we would have had a map, right? We would have had a physical map. That physical map would probably not have been updated with the latest road updates and stuff. So that would have brought a different kind of situation. I mean, we might still have ended up in the middle of nowhere in a wrong turn, but you are becoming very dependent on this technology, and we don't have internet everywhere. and we don't have good internet everywhere. So that is the Achilles heel of the cloud technology, is that at the end of the day, you're depending on that line that has to be there.
I guess soon, these problems will resolve. Like Elon Musk is launching his internet using satellite. Have you seen this recently? How we were switching on that one for this against the recent conflict to support people to have access to internet. So I think this the new technologies which are coming up would also fill this gap. Then I don't think there's any reason for people to be scared to go to cloud, right? So at the end of the day, then it will be. I think it will be the way to manage your. Your systems.
Yes, I mean, I don't think we can talk too much more about this, because I think we are, ending our time limit. But I think if I can give my recommendation for an organization, if I was I'm a CEO in a tech company, but it does not matter if you're the CEO of a tech company or a non-tech company, because even tech companies, you have people who are not, subscribing to cloud and subscribing to all the ideas of the cloud. The view for me as a business person is that I use the services that I need, I pay for them, and I don't pay for something I don't need. And my software is always up to date. If I sit and work here in my home office, when I close my computer and go somewhere else, open my computer, it's the same system, it's the same solution. So the convenience for any organization and the cost saving is dramatical. From buying up, putting a big investment up front, you're just paying as you go. For example, the services we are using here, Riverside FM, for recording this podcast, is a cloud service. We are recording in the cloud. You're sitting in your house in Sri Lanka. I'm sitting in my house here in Philippines. We have a couple of people backing us who are also here in Philippines. So Mimi is there and Kat is there in the background. They've not been heard or seen, but they are there to check everything. But none of us are together. And the recording is then being downloaded afterwards. We have no idea what's happening inside this Riverside FM in terms of their services. We don't know, are they on Google Cloud, or they are on AWS, or they are on Microsoft Cloud. And it doesn't matter for us. They provide us a service. The service is working, and we pay for that when we need it. We don't have to, invest in a huge setup, and we don't have to invest in anything that we might not use next month. We can pay them this month, and next month we say, okay, we don't have anything to talk about. Believe it or not, we might not want to have the service next month, and when we need it again, we can use it again. Or if we need suddenly to record 8 hours, we can just update our program. So the benefits are across that. It doesn't matter if you are using a solution for your document management, for your workflow, for your recording of your podcast, for storing your photos. The convenience is there, and the cost saving is there. So I'm a big believer in the cloud. I cannot see any reason why you would not go on cloud, except if you say, well, I have no access, or I don't control my access. For example, you are in a country where you're not controlling your line to the internet. If you're relying as a country, for example, on a internet pipe to another country, and that can be cut off, then that's a serious consideration you have to take. But as a normal business user, I cannot see any reason not to.
Yeah, Lars, finally, I think one interesting fact which I forgot to tell, the upgrading of software that we used to have, remember those days it was a pain. But today, did you notice you're using Analog Sign, right? We upgraded the application. You might have not even noticed, but there's a new OTP notification for advanced, added security for you. If you're enjoying that application, we did it without you even having to involve, and we upgraded that one, that feature.
Yes. So we can upgrade without even letting the client know, right? So that's why I'm saying, for me, the benefit of the cloud is real when you use a SaaS solution, or in the third example, when you want to use resources that you don't have available to you. All this infrastructure and stuff is big benefit as well, but it's not the bigger game changer for me. For me, as a small business owner, it's about the convenience and security of using applications which are hosted in the cloud, and I don't have to do anything than pay them.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to use a different service, I think it's better to talk to a cloud consultant, who can also find out what is the right mix of the tools that you should use, what is
Of course.
available. But
Yes.
everything is in the cloud.
Yes.
So, yeah. Okay.
Okay, I think, I will go back and chop up my cashew nuts. They were really nice. And maybe have a tea and enjoy the afternoon in a Sri Lankan style. What about you?
I'm inside the bedroom now, because you asked me to stay inside the bedroom to make sure that no noise comes. And still, I think you can hear some squirrels from outside.
Yeah, I can hear something. Yeah, I tried to put myself on mute earlier, but it was not me. So is it squirrels? Okay, all right. At least
squirrels.
It's not an AC that is squeaking in the background. Then
no, squirrels. They are having a fight just outside my window. And okay,
all right.
And,
okay. Yeah, so take care and look forward to talking to you soon. And thank you for joining us today, everyone.
Thank you, Lars. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to rate and review our podcast, and be sure to subscribe to get the latest updates. Let's talk again soon.